seeing monsters out your window. No, you can't sleep, you pretend though. You don't have to play the hero. Cause I got you like you got me. When the earth shakes, when the bombs scream, until our last breath, every heartbeat.
Waste another day, eyes on my display. You say we need a change, and I feel that you mean it. You mean it. But you're so right, we're losing track of time, buying things online, and it's not like we need them. We don't need them. So can we just slow down? The only thing I'll do is lay here next to you. We need to slow down. Embrace the love we found. For you and I, we're safe and sound. we were on the run, rocking around the clock. Now all we need is right here in front of us. In front of us. So can we just slow down? The only thing I'll do is lay here next to you. We need to slow down. Embrace the love we found. For you and I are safe and sound. Can we just slow down? And we can start waste another day. I will not stay. You say you need a change, feel that you need it. But you're so right, we're losing track of time. Buying things online, it's not like we need them. Safe and sound.
Stars fall at my feet, keep me grounded as I reach higher than I see. Is there something there for me? Pulling back the reins, letting go again. I'm not afraid. I'm not. All my life, one page at a time, I'll show you my true colors. No, no, I won't apologize for I don't know where I am, I don't know where you take me, I don't know where you take me. I just follow your trail and I'm losing your mind and I'm losing your head. Let me escape from this unlove, cause I'm a prisoner. I just want to look my way and never back to you.
Falling apart when you're so far. You're the only thing that I can't lose. I can't lose. You filled in the cracks, didn't know I had. Melting my heart from the broken glass. Now in every part of me, it's you. And I don't want nobody else. Closer than you, closer than you. I can't let
Hello everybody and welcome to the second round of the PC ACC GT3 Championship here on the SimZone Racing League. We're here at Brands Hatch for an hour-long race. We can just see the cars now making their way around the sighting lap. We've got Borchardt currently on pole position, followed by Dyson in the Aston Martin. We've got two BMWs following suit with a Ferrari and a McLaren behind. We then have another Audi and then Pisuk and then the McLaren behind him, and then we also have another BMW just behind that as well. So we're going to see the cars then trying to warm up their tyres as we make our way around the Brands Hatch circuit then. So we can now see the leader of the group, the pole position man in the BMW there. Borchardt is now slowing the group down into a double file array here as they begin to round the final corner off. We have the Aston Martin and the BMW side by side into the first corner then. Let's see how they will do up into Paddock Hill Bend, as the engines will start to climb in revs now as they do slowly approach the finish line. It'll be a case of who is first to slam that throttle to the ground, so let's see who gets the best launch. So here we are, getting very close to the line. All the drivers at the back starting to group up now as we're waiting for the green flag to drop.
Green light, go, go, go.
And away we go then. It's a brilliant start there. Looks to be Borchardt with a decent start, getting ahead of the Aston Martin. It potentially looks like the second BMW there, just behind of Totev, maybe challenging the Aston Martin, as the Aston Martin is now falling down the group slightly. It looks like the number 8 BMW is now also challenging for the leaders. I think that's Totev there with a bit of contact, maybe slowing himself down. I think the Aston Martin has got back through on the group, so we also saw a bit of contact back there as well. I believe that was Chris there, yeah, the 315 BMW, unfortunately getting tapped there at the back of the sort of front group of drivers. So unfortunate they're up into the Druids hairpin, but we still have Borchardt leading the way, as we can see a few of the BMWs further down the order trying to regroup as a bit more contact happens there, but drivers will be eager to make their way back up the group after that first bit of contact. So we go back on board here with the front two drivers. We've still got Borchardt from Dyson in these two front-engine BMW and Aston Martin cars. We have the pursuing number 8 BMW still behind with a McLaren, and then the 5th place BMW of Totev, and then the Ferrari there of Odenberg, just ahead of another McLaren, a BMW and a Honda, and then finally one more BMW to round off the current top 10. We're currently on board with Tudja, who is currently running in 4th position in that McLaren there. I imagine the McLaren is a pretty good car on the circuit. It looks very comfortable at the moment. Currently running in 4th position. He's got the number, I believe that is 777 BMW right behind him, applying some pressure of Totev there. So a bit of contact we saw for Totev at the start of the track. Of course, I think he slightly clipped the inside of the hairpin up at Druids, so maybe we'll be trying to apply pressure back onto the McLaren to regain some positions. But he also needs to watch for Odenberg behind in that green and white Ferrari, who seems to be very close behind now. So these three then at the start of the race pretty close in contention, as I think the McLaren is starting to lose the back of that 3rd place BMW then. So the front three are starting to distinguish themselves now from the rest of the pack, as it looks like Borchardt is also improving his lead from Dyson. So yeah, this front group of drivers very competitive so far. As we take a look down the group here, we've got Odenberg and then the pursuing BMW just behind him. I believe that is of Savish. You'll have to pardon me for the mispronunciations of names here, as we can see the BMW here behind Odenberg. I think Odenberg has lost a bit of time off the back of the BMW of Totev in front, so a lot of pressure being applied at the start of the race here, as Borchardt sets the fastest lap of the race so far. So yeah, definitely good pace so far from Borchardt. I think the top three drivers are definitely pulling away from the rest of the group so far, as we can see this sort of 4th to 7th sort of battle going on here, which is pretty good to watch. We've got, as I say, the McLaren at the front here of Totev, trying to defend from that BMW just behind him, and he's also trying to chase down the number 8 BMW just in front here. So pretty close behind for these guys so far. So we can see them coming down into the hill. Then drivers will be trying to make the most time as they can into the braking spots here. They'll have to watch out so far. Obviously high fuel loads at the start of a 1 hour race, so perhaps not the same style of driving they'll be doing as they were in qualifying, with of course a light fuel load. So it looks pretty close behind these guys so far. It looks like Totev has actually managed to move in towards the McLaren there in field 4th and 5th, as the number 8 BMW has started to fall back, as we have Schwabe there. A glance of Schwabe further down the group. I think he was having some pressure applied to him at a stage in the race there. So yeah, it's pretty close at the start of this race. Of course, a bit of contact as we saw, but for the most part, I think when drivers settle down, it's pretty clean so far. As we can see, the BMW then of Tetsov, you'll have to again pardon me for these pronunciations of names, but he's applying a lot of pressure to the McLaren there. It looks like he's got a bit unsettled up in towards Druids, and the McLaren does run wide, so pretty close between these guys, but he's got the favourable line, the McLaren does, into the next corner, so the McLaren will hold his line and will hold his position for now, as that does open up the opportunity for Odenberg behind once again to potentially look at a move. But these two just look glued to each other. They can't seem to overtake each other, but they are currently pulling ahead. So these two drivers, of course, very close to each other, trying to battle each other, but they're also not losing as much time as they possibly would have. But now we've got that Ferrari behind of Odenberg in the slipstream of them, which is helping him stay on board. As we can see, the BMW running onto the edge of the track. They're using everything he can to get the run up into the final part of the track here. Looks very close behind the McLaren now. Maybe an opportunistic lunge potentially into a final corner. As we see now, BMW dips out of the dirty air of the McLaren, hopefully to maybe offset the McLaren driver to show the BMW's intentions, or maybe just to get a bit more cleaner air as he comes to the next lap now. Still pretty close between these two drivers, and the McLaren is parking the car in all the correct places so far to make sure that BMW does not make the move, as he once again tries to lunge out of the dirty air. Very close between these guys, and as we still have that Ferrari behind looming over them, looking for a mistake somewhere committed by these guys. See the BMW, they're running a bit wide. These drivers are trying to use every part of the track that they possibly can, all in hopes to overtake each other. And of course that BMW is in a real hard position at the moment, trying to defend from a car from behind and overtake a car in front. As we look further down the group and at a line of McLarens and Porsches and Hondas, then these guys are still pretty close. That's the 999 Porsche we're currently watching, being pressurised by the Honda just behind. That Honda is driven by Rakoshnik. That is the number 22 Honda, trying to apply pressure to that fully black Porsche in front of it. And just behind that Honda is also the, I do believe, previous race winner of Schwabe from Kyle Army. So pretty good run from these guys so far, as we now ride on board with a McLaren here, applying pressure onto a Honda again. So yeah, these three also in the same scenario. They've got a BMW leading them. I do believe that is Sezcik, so we'll have to watch this battle and see how it progresses as the BMW is pursuing the cars ahead. It's also got a lot of cars behind it trying to make a move, so yeah, it's a difficult situation to be placed in at the start of a race, of course. we're trying to make as much time as possible, but unfortunately you'll have cars behind you which will compromise your line. As we can see the Honda here trying to make a move potentially. I think he's going to save it and wait to go down the straight, hopefully get a bit of slipstream, maybe dive to the inside, coming into the uphill corner, the right-hander. So we can focus back onto the McLaren here then. The number 50 car, the Spanish driver here. The McLaren looks for a move up on the inside, maybe to get a bit of clean air there as well, but unfortunately he's not the victor in that. So we're now watching Hagara again, trying to fend off that yellow Honda from behind it. It looks like it's again compromising his line, the number 131 car, trying to keep that position as much as he can. So they come then into Paddock Hill for the next lap of the race. Looks like he's still managing to hold that position, and it's a bit of a sort of a ping pong game at the moment between these drivers. Some drivers are losing time in one section and others are gaining more time in others, so it's hard to sort of decipher where the move will be, because of course at this stage I'd imagine the Honda driver is trying to survey what the BMW driver is trying to do in certain sections, if he's weak in sections or if he's stronger in sections, and that may result in the final overtake, which may decide the overall race result here at Brands Hatch. So we see them coming towards the bottom of the track, then probably the lowest part of the circuit we have here. And they come back up into the right-hander, and that BMW is starting to make a bit of a gap now from that Honda, so it looks like the threat of that McLaren has sort of backed off a bit now as we hit the 50-minute mark in the race then. As we focus back with Borchardt and Dyson, the battle between these two drivers, the Aston Martin and the BMW, with the number 8 BMW there managing to catch back up to the Aston Martin then, so it looks pretty close between these two. I think that BMW has been closing down the Aston Martin for quite a long time here, so yeah, these two very close indeed. It's going to be interesting to see how these two fight it out in the end, as we can see the BMW dipping a bit maybe into the gravel there, so really pushing from these two drivers. It definitely looks like the BMW is closing down a lot of time on that Aston Martin, so maybe a bit unsettling for that Aston Martin driver seeing this BMW closing on him. So here we go, on to the second half of the racetrack here. We've got Artem Manisha closing down on Dyson then. Now this is brewing up to be an epic battle for second place then. Both drivers look pretty quick so far. They've managed to open up a pretty considerable gap against the rest of the field. As you can see, Borchardt rounding out that corner just in front. It just shows these drivers at the front, they're just at an insane level of pace at the moment. It's hard to match this, and you can see that the BMW driver is still closing on an Aston Martin. It's brilliant to watch this as they round this lap here, as they get to the final corners of the circuit. This move is just building up and building up as we go deeper into this race then. Maybe on the straight here, maybe into Paddock Hill, you may be able to make a turn. It's incredibly close. You can see how the cars bump over as they go into Paddock Hill there. Maybe unsettling the car, as we can see the BMW right behind the Aston Martin now. That's incredibly close into there. I think the BMW does retreat out of that, maybe to maintain this momentum at the moment, as he still follows the Aston Martin into the opening stages of the lap then, as they both run off onto the runoff there. It's brilliant to see these drivers pushing the car all the way as fast as they possibly can take them around this circuit, as they do the same thing again, dip the wheels onto the curb. It's brilliant to see this level of speed from these two drivers so far. Maybe coming down the hill, maybe. I don't think he's close enough there. Yeah, so he's going to hold back on that, but he definitely is building this move. It's definitely threatening for the driver, as we see Ferrari there. Not sure what's happened to him. He may be lagging out of the game there, but nonetheless, these two drivers managed to avoid that. Yeah, I do believe that Ferrari had front of the nose in the ground, so I think that car was slightly lagging out of the game. As we look further down into this battle, then it looks like the battle between the Honda and the McLaren has sort of settled down a bit, but this one between the Audi and the Honda here, I believe that is Schwabe and Rakoschnik, they're still fighting it out. Then the Honda has been applying pressure to that previous winning Audi there of Schwabe, so yeah, a lot of pressure at the start of the race so far for these guys. You can see the Honda then crossing the line onto the next lap of the race. Yeah, it seems to be quite stagnant at the moment in the field. Not a lot of moves going on, but definitely a lot of pace as we see further back here. The Lamborghini overtaking, I think, the Ferrari there just behind, or potentially just defending the position. You can see it's very close between these guys so far. We've got the Audi of Kudasov just in front, as we can see in front of that McLaren. So these four looking very, very close so far. I believe we are currently on board with Juriga at the moment in the number 2 Lamborghini. So coming down the hill then, looks pretty close between the McLaren and the Audi in front. Maybe the Lamborghini is going to try and capitalise on a potential mistake from one of those two drivers, or maybe a compromised line slowing the two drivers down. So we can see the recovering Chris Bissett there in the BMW from that earlier contact. This is back on board of this battle then. I do believe that McLaren got the move done then, so that's I do believe number 193 McLaren there making the move on that Audi. So pretty close between these guys once again. As we look further back the field here, we've got the number 11 Aston Martin there defending from another car. There's so many battles going on currently on track. It's hard to keep record of what's going on at the moment. Back on this fight again then. Maybe the Audi here is trying to retaliate against that McLaren, maybe to unsettle him, make him not fall back into a rhythm, so he won't be able to open too much of a gap up, hopefully. But this battle so far has been very close between these four drivers, 4 different cars in this battle as well. As we can see the 444 Audi then come down the hill into the right-hander. Very high-speed corner this, you don't lose it around here. You'll be going straight into the barriers if you're not careful around here, so drivers will be trying to take that corner very carefully, I'd imagine. As we see the McLaren here, the 193 McLaren, rounding out this lap then. Previously, of course, overtaking the Audi here, so good looking pace from this 193 Audi. Sorry, McLaren. But the 444 Audi behind is not giving up that battle, I don't think. He's trying to hang on to that McLaren just in front. But he's got the the Lamborghini behind, just closing onto him there. He's looking like he's closing down the gap. I believe that is the number 2 Lamborghini behind. So yeah, looking into pad a kill, maybe he'll try to make a move, but it's hard to tell from that distance. It's almost the concertina effect into the corner makes it look a bit closer than it perhaps is on the straights. Even as they round out the Druid's hairpin there, all drivers staying pretty tight in their positions then. No sort of stretches being given here, as we see Artem Manisha here, so he's got up to 2nd position. Not sure how that happened. He's got the fastest lap of the race, so maybe a potential threat for Borchardt in front. Dyson must have maybe potentially made a mistake, or just was a good overtake by Manisha. So yeah, it's looking close between these top 3 so far. Then, as I said, they've really pulled away from the rest of the field, so it's almost a 3-horse race at the moment between these 3 drivers. You can see the BMW and the Ferrari there of Odenberg right behind, and then we've also got the 2 BMWs pursuing there further down the group. It's number 66 BMW there. He looks to have a lot of pressure being applied to him at the moment by the number 131 BMW of Hagara. As they come up into Druids there, look very close between these 2 drivers. We'll try and pursue him for the rest of the lap. So we've got a fight going on here for around 10th position. Much like at Kyalami, the sort of contention around 10th position was very strong. We've got Schwabe here and the McLaren in front of him and the Honda in front of the McLaren. So once again, very close from these guys as they come to the second half of the lap. So looking down the group, and we've got a vast array of cars currently fighting. We've got McLarens, Porsches, Hondas, Mercedes at the moment. Still got this battle here between the Ferrari and the Audi and the Lamborghini so far. I think the Ferrari has fallen back a bit as we see a bit of contact in the background there. That looks to be the number 18 McLaren then. So unfortunately for the 18 McLaren, going off into that corner there, maybe a bit of commentator's curse there. I did say earlier in the race. Drivers may potentially be going into the barriers there, so sorry to the number 18 driver if I cursed you there during this race. But he's fallen back immediately into a battle then, so again, no rest here. This is just probably the worst scenario to go off the track and then be immediately thrown back into another battle here. It's just no time to rest here, as I think that was the Porsche managed to sneak through there. Of Jean-Carl Barth managed to sneak through this battle, but it looks like the Ferrari's going to apply some pressure into the first corner of the lap then, into the paddock. It looks like the Ferrari's got that move done as the McLaren slightly dips its wheel into the gravel there, and he's now defending from the BMW behind. But will it be 2 in 1? It may potentially be. I think that is the BMW of Omar then, currently running in 25th position. Looks like the BMW hasn't been able to get the move done, so the McLaren defends that position very well then through this next sequences of corners. Let's see if he can hold that for the rest of the lap as we go back on board with Artem Anisha here in the number 8 BMW. Still applying some pressure to Borchardt. I think he's not, of course, within striking distance yet, but I think he is closing the gap down ever so slightly between these two drivers. As we have a battle further behind of Totev. I think that potentially is a backmarker car. I'm not sure what that BMW, what lap that BMW was on, but we've also got the Ferrari behind of Odenberg. Been very consistent so far as Odenberg in that Ferrari. Been able to keep that position so far as we have this battle still raging on between the two BMWs. As I think that's a retirement there for the number 7 Ferrari. That's a shame. I think that was the one that was half in the ground at the top of the lap. As we just go down the group, and a lot of drivers are starting to make a bit of a separate between the sector times here then, so gaps are forming between drivers. As we can see, Schwabe applying the pressure to the McLaren in front of Casera up in front. So yeah, a lot of gaps are opening up at the moment, but some battles are still ranging on, and it looks to be currently the main one is between the Audi and the McLaren, so we'll see how this turns out. The Audi is slowly homing in that McLaren as they progress around the lap. Potentially a move up into Paddock Hill. Seems to be a bit of a hot spot for overtaking so far in this race as Paddock Hill. It's a pretty wide part circuit, so hopefully a lot more drivers will be overtaking up into there. It looks pretty close as well down the straight, so maybe a move. He looks to go to the outside, but yeah, it does back off eventually. I think he might try and get the better run out the corner and hopefully up into the Druids here. So pretty close between these guys. They've got the Honda in front of them, just edging away. Unfortunately, when two drivers are battling, it means that the car in front may be able to bridge a bit of a gap. But yeah, these two don't seem to be losing too much time, I don't think. I think the Honda is just staying within range of these two drivers. So yeah, pretty good racing so far from these guys. Go back on board then with the number 2 Lamborghini, which we saw previously in the battle with the I do believe it was another McLaren, or I think he may have lost a few positions here, I'm not sure, because the current leading lap drivers are coming onto him. So yeah, it's a Oh, sorry, the pit window is open. That's why the driver may have been behind. So the pit window has opened then. Has been open for, I do believe, 3 minutes so far. So a lot of drivers will be changing where they are on circuit. As we're watching now with Jean-Carl Barth in the number 34 car then. Porsche making its way around the lap. Currently running in 19th position then. Looks to be pretty comfortable so far, pretty consistent race so far. Currently running in P19 as I say, so just rounding off his lap here. Not sure if he's pitted yet. Unlike console, it doesn't seem to say whether they've completed their mandatory pit stop, so not sure if he's been into the pits yet, but pretty consistent race as I say so far for Jean-Carl Barth. As we go back towards the top of the group then, it looks like we've got T.Borchardt still leading the way from Artem Manisha in the number 8 BMW, so it's the battle of the BMW so far then, with the Aston Martin just behind of Dyson there just behind. So yeah, these three, I think he's being caught now by Totev in the, yes he is, in the number 777 car, so pretty close between these guys. As we also watch Hagara there in the 131 car. A big line of BMWs here, so yeah, these guys are pretty close as they are coming onto the back of a pitted previously car, the number 2 Lamborghini there, currently running in 25th position. Hopefully we'll be able to consolidate that car as they come to start their next lap then, as they come up towards Druids. I think this number 66 BMW has been applying the pressure all race to that BMW just in front of Hagara, as the Lamborghini does get out the way onto the gravel there, so very generous from the Lamborghini driver. Maybe an unintentional let by, but it worked nonetheless. So you can still see then the number 66 car. I think he does get a bit of oversteer on the exit of that corner, so still applying the pressure to Hagara and just in front. As we can now see Casera as well. Once again, this battle between these three cars is still raging on then. We've still got the Audi applying pressure to the McLaren, and the McLaren applying pressure to the Honda just in front. As you can see, as they get to the final stages of the lap then, I think, oh, that's a Lamborghini spinning off in front. That's the number 2 Lamborghini, I do believe. Hopefully it hasn't interrupted with these guys' race. There's a sorry for the viewers there, my internet timed out just slightly, but the screen footage is catching back up then. So we're still on board with these three drivers then, the McLaren, the Audi and the Honda, as they do complete their next lap. It's interesting to see when these drivers are going to pit. They still have 13 minutes currently on the pit window, so a lot of time for them to pit left, but they'll be trying to follow each other as much as they can. I think strategy for a lot of drivers here would be to pit when the rest of them pit, maybe to lose as little time as possible. As we go on board then with number 83 car of Patrick Schwaber, then he goes to the inside of the McLaren up into Paddock Hill, then a good run along the straight, and he gets a move done into the corner then. So they'll make their way up into Druids with the Audi. Honda just in front of him has pitted. So here they are then. Once again, the McLaren is trying to retaliate on the back of that. As we watch the battle again between the two BMWs as Schwalbe crosses the line again. He's managed to bridge a bit of a gap from that McLaren there. So pretty close between these guys, but the Audi seems to have got a bit of pace and has pulled away as we see Tom McCormick coming into the pits there in the Porsche. As we're now watching that number 98 Honda then, as we saw previously involved in a battle with the Audi and the McLaren. Looks like he's currently pursuing a different with him, but we look through the field then, a lot of drivers are currently a Ferrari at the moment. We do have a McLaren further down the group which has a stop and go penalty. I do believe that is a stop and go penalty. So besides from that, drivers in the pits, McCormick has now left the pits and they've still got the McLaren and the Ferrari currently in there. So Borchardt has now pitted and Martin Manisha has now been promoted to the lead of the race, with Dyson up to second then, so we'll see where Borchardt will come out of the pits then. Hopefully a close conclusion to the race between those two drivers. Two BMW drivers, of course, maybe the Aston will be able to apply some pressure towards the end too. As we now watch Patrick Schwalbe here, we saw him with that move around the outside of the McLaren previously on the lap. That's the McLaren the McLaren. So yeah, this is definitely the confusing part of the race, and we have drivers who are maybe a lap down because they've pitted, or maybe a lap down just because they are a lap down. It's very hard to sort of compute where eventually, when the pit winner does finish in 8 minutes time, the pack will be reshuffled and will be in their racing position. So going into Paddock Hill and watching the few cars in front of them. We've got a Mercedes and a couple of Porsches as well just in front of this Lamborghini so far. So then towards the top of the group, Borchardt has managed to come out the pit lane in 7th position. Manisha and Dyson still have to pit, I do believe, so we'll see where that leaves the two drivers after they have pitted. As we can see, number 444 Audi once again applying pressure to a BMW in front of. I don't think that is on the same lap as him. I think that is Chris Pisak there, so maybe Chris Pisak has pitted as well. It's number 444 Audi then, Being very consistent so far in this race. We saw him previously have a battle with a Honda and the McLaren. So let's see where he finishes in this race so far. As we watch for 4th placed Honda here. This is the Honda that was also applying pressure to another Audi earlier on in the race. I think this car was applying pressure to the Audi of Patrick Schwalbe earlier on, but he's currently running 4th position. He hasn't pitted yet. It's the number 22 Honda. There's another crash there, and it's a bit of an unfortunate event for this number 2 Audi so far. Lamborghini, I apologise. As we can also see here, Honda side by side then with the McLaren. I believe the McLaren did overtake that number 20 Honda, as the timing sheet has not updated yet, but yeah, that may have potentially been an outside move on the first half of the circuit, then coming up towards the fast right-hander downhill. So yeah, we can see these 2 drivers then from the onboard cam of the Honda here. The number 20 Honda, so pretty close between these guys then. You can see the McLaren just in the distance getting away. I think these 2 drivers would have pitted as they're down in 16th and 17th at the moment. So as they go back to cross the line and come up to the first corner once again, the McLaren seems to be bridging a gap to the Honda. As you can see a bit of debris on the track there on the start finish straight. Not sure if that's going to intervene with the drivers. I think it's only polystyrene bollards, so it will do much for the drivers, but you can see the Honda there late on the brakes into the Druid hairpin, so pretty close between these guys again. As I say, the cars may be a bit stronger in different parts of the circuit. As we go to the number 45 Ferrari here, who has been given a drive-through penalty then, so a drive-through penalty for the currently 6th placed car. I believe he has pitted, but he'll have to enter the pits again, and we'll just have to drive through the pit lane. Not too bad, to be fair, at Brands Hatch, a drive-through penalty. It's not, of course, an ideal scenario, but it's not too long of a pit lane. If it was somewhere like Spa, you'd have to, of course, drive a lot longer down a place like Spa, but we can see further down, few cars are lapping themselves, I think, here. This is the current race leader, who has not pitted yet. The fastest lap holder as well of the number 8 car of Otto Manisha, with the pursuing Aston Martin behind. I don't think he's too close behind, but he's got the car which I think is a lap down behind of Schwalbe. But we can see the Aston Martin here, number 802, the American driver of Dyson, driving the Aston Martin. Doesn't look to be too far behind at the moment then, so maybe we have to close that gap down as they go through the race, as we still have 24 minutes of the race left and just 4 minutes of the window still open then. So we'll see how this unfolds so far. Just looking down the timing sheet, I'm not sure where T.Borchardt has disappeared to. The timing sheet is not displaying his name, so I'm not sure what would have happened to Borchardt there. As we see Dyson coming to the pit lane, a bit of clobbing of the barrier there, it looks like previously, but we are now on board with the 444 Audi once again, and currently running in 5th position. Looks to be doing well. Maybe still potential to pit so far, but he's looking to be driving a very consistent race so far, as he has the pursuing number 66 BMW behind him. Ben Hagara also there with Patrick Schwalbe and number 83 Audi there. So these 2 BMWs and Audis are pretty close to each other so far, coming into the later stage of the races. So yes, Odeberg has now served his drive-through penalty, so 10th position is where he currently does stand. He may be eventually even higher if some cars in front have to pit, as Dyson has just left the pit lane as well. So the pack is starting to reshuffle then. We've still got this 2 pairing of Porsches down there as well, with McCormick and Ceballos. So the two Porsches then staying pretty close to each other throughout the course of this race so far. The number 999 car we can see here. As we ride on board, he's chasing down the Ferrari in front, I do believe. So, oh, sorry, it's a McLaren in front of him, isn't it? So, yes, as we see an Audi pitting there from 8th position, going down the order, down to 12th now. So he will run the track further down the order as he is chasing the McLaren. And that is the McLaren of, that is Casera there in the McLaren. So he's chasing him down. Is Ceballos in the 999 Porsche. The pit window has just over a minute left on the timings, so the last drivers will be pitting, which does include Artem Manisha there. He's currently pitted with from first position, promoting one of the Hondas into first position, I do believe, as he rejoins the track. As I think he's coming into some backmarker traffic here. So he is currently leading the way then, is Artem, but he has got the white Aston Martin behind him of Dyson, the 802 car, the American driver, chasing him down at the moment. So yeah, it's looking to be pretty close. I'm not sure if Manisha lost a bit of time somewhere, maybe to his back markers, potentially slowing him down in places. It's not the easiest track to give way on, is Brands Hatch. It's a very old school, very narrow track with crash runoff. So yeah, it's looking to be a bit of a challenge here for the lead then. So Dyson versus Manisha so far.
The pit window is closing now.
As we can see, the white Aston Martin then coming to the top of the lap, to the closing stage of this lap so far. See Honda just concede that position, lets him through. We now ride on board a very familiar cockpit for me, this Aston Martin. You can see them rounding off the current lap that he was on, onto the next one, as he now continues to pursue Artem Manisha in that BMW, the number 8 BMW versus the number 802 Aston Martin. Taking a lot of runoff there. Here's the Aston Martin here of Dyson, getting every single tenth out of the car. As you can just see the BMW on the horizon, just slightly ahead as they come down the hill. Then it's hard to just defer the gap between them. Currently, you can see a lot of battles currently going on. I think that was the Honda and the Ferrari there, and the two BMWs once again. It's still hard to differentiate the gaps here between the cars, as I say. But it looks like two BMWs have stayed pretty close to each other. We've got 4 BMWs in the top 5 then, so it's looking pretty good so far for the BMW factory drivers. As we have Schwabe behind in the Audi, once again applying a pressure there to the BMW of Hagar. That's the number 83 Audi there. So yeah, it's looked pretty close between these top 6 drivers all race. As I say, towards the start of the race, the top 3 sort of got away from the rest of the group. Looks like that gap is slowly starting to close in. Schwabe's having a pretty good race so far. I think he started down in 10th or somewhere around there, but he's managed to close in some positions at the start. And he's now applying pressure to that train of BMWs just in front, which is ever so slightly split by the Aston Martin of Dyson. We can see as Schwabe crosses the line onto his next lap, still applying pressure to Garrett in the 131 BMW. You can see from the rear of the BMW, you can see how the Audi closes in the middle of the corner there. Maybe the mid-engined setup of the car helping him through Druids. So as they come down the hill then, the Audi just in front is, just behind this BMW is still keeping with him. He looks to be closing in as they round through the corner, but incredibly close between these guys. There's no margins being given here, so yeah, incredibly close. We have still 16 minutes left of the race. All drivers have pitted by now, of course. This is the sort of business end of the race now, where positions that are exchanged will last the end of the race. Well, that's the number 66 BMW there. I think they are racing against him, as we get a brilliant shot from behind the cars then, as Schwabe does try to overtake the car on the outside, the number 66 BMW there, but unfortunately does not get the move done. This is turning out to be a very close battle between these three drivers. Yeah, that was the number 66 BMW of Sevcik there, so I think he may have gone off wide potentially through the closing stage of the lap there, and just allowed the BMW of Hagara to re-overtake him. We saw these two BMWs battling throughout the long stages of this race so far, so maybe a bit frustrating there for the number 66 BMW, but and he's now got the number 83 Audi of Schwabe right behind him as they again go down the hill then into the fast right-hander. Incredibly close between these two drivers, as this is allowing Hagara to actually open up a bit of a gap between these two drivers, and it's very close, as I say, between these guys, so we'll see what Schwabe can do. As they do approach the end of the lap, then I'll imagine that Schwabe is probably quite eager to overtake the BMW just in front of him. You know, he had a good race last time out, but the Audi did, so maybe to keep those points up there as we go back on board with the top two then. The gap has opened up a bit, I think, between Dyson and Manisha, but I think both drivers will be settling down. I think they'll be pretty content with first and second for both drivers respectfully. So we can still see this battle then between the BMW and the Audi. We still have Odenberg there, as we can see, in 7th position. It's pretty good, but he's still in 7th position after that drive-through penalty. It's a very good race so far for Odenberg, with all matters considered. So, yeah, it's we can see once again a battle further down. It's a Porsche versus Honda here. It's Ceballos, as we saw previously, a 999 car, trying to make a move on the number 22 Honda in front. We can see them. Ceballos is now rounding out this lap here. It's sort of falling off the back of that Honda just in front. The number 999 car, of course, trying to apply pressure to that 9th positioned Honda. It looks like, and as we reach just under the 13th hour, then the 13th minute, excuse me, of the race here, we've got the McLaren further back here of Sierra trying to apply pressure to McCormick just in front in that Porsche. So again, really close between drivers on track, as it looks to actually get a bit of a better run out the corner. Definitely hard place to overtake on the circuit. This is every car is wide on this part of the circuit. Batch. See then the onboard footage of the McLaren as they head down the hill once again into the fast right hand. The McLaren will try for a move. It's not close enough yet, so just backs off there and settles back behind the Porsche. So Maybe he's going to hope for a potential move further across the lap. As we enter Druids then, it's a pretty equal gap between the two drivers still. McCormick looks very comfortable in that position, just defending from him, as we still have another Porsche just in front in a battle here. So two Porsches in battles here in pretty close proximity to each other, as we have the number 20 Honda trying to defend from the 444 Audi just behind. Two mid-engine cars, so I'd imagine they're taking pretty similar lines through the corner, but not if the number 20 car has got to defend like that up into Druids. So yeah, as I say, it's really a vital stage of the race now, coming towards the final 10 minutes of the race. Drivers will be looking to make that move which sticks and eventually ends up with them making their final position in the race. They head down the hill then. I don't think the Audi's going to make the move there. No, he sticks in behind the number 20 Honda then, just to make it stick and maybe get a bit of a run coming into the final sequence of corners. That's Brands Hatch. They've been pretty close, these two drivers, across the course of the entire lap so far. Drivers giving no margins to each other. You've got the Honda defending as we go into the final corner. They're dipping to the inside. The Audi maintains his racing line so he doesn't scrub off any speed there, but this may affect the Honda's run onto the straight then into Paddock Hill Bend. Will the Audi be able to make the move? The Honda moves back out to the outside. Very well placed there by the Honda. Very clean as well from these guys. The Audi knew exactly where the Honda was going to go there and just managed to stay close enough behind to maybe potentially open up a gap here at Druids, but just enough to stay intact with that Honda, the number 20 Honda then. So yeah, very close between these guys and very clean as well, as they once again approach the second half of the lap. Then they'll go into that fast right hander once again, maybe a move into there. Haven't seen too many moves into that fast right hander, so maybe it's not the third overtaking spot here today, but I think the Honda's I don't think the Audi's going to be too close enough into that corner again. So we still have 8 minutes left on the clock, so there was enough time to make a move here. It's definitely an opportunity to do that, so we'll see how it turns out for these drivers. So the Honda does round out its lap then. The Audi seems to lose a bit of time into that final sector there. He's definitely a bit further back than he was on the previous lap. As we go back to the leader then, we've got the number 8 BMW of Artem Manisha then, currently leading the way. He's got a backmarker Mercedes just following suit behind him. Brilliant race so far from Manisha. As we've got Totev now in second, the 777 car, so the 777 car seems to have overtaken Dyson. In fact, Dyson is currently in the pit lane, so not sure what's happened there to Dyson. He's leaving the pit lane again, so it doesn't seem to be a spin-off or anything like that. Maybe a potential puncture to the Aston Martin, so this sounds trouble for the Aston Martin. That's really unfortunate there. He's dropped back down to 7th position now. It's been a brilliant race so far from the Aston Martin. As soon as the BMW came out the pit lane, was immediately applying pressure to the BMW just in front. But yeah, that's unfortunate there, as we can see the cars just a bit further down then. We've got Schwabe and Odenberg there. Brilliant race from Odenberg, because he's trying to make a move once again on that number 66 BMW there. Brilliant race so far from Odenberg. He's of course had that drive-through penalty, but he's still up there, battling for 5th position. So yeah, really good so far. It's right on board then into the fast right-hander. Very close to the 66 BMW in front of him. And we can also see behind there Schwabe, so a really difficult position for a driver here. He wants to try and make a move on the driver in front, but also has to be mindful of the driver behind us. The number 66 car goes off track there, slightly touches the grass, and Schwabe is looking for a move also now as well as contact. So, wow, yeah, that's contact there for the number 66 car. So that looks to be that the Audi tried to move on the inside, and unfortunately there wasn't enough space there. So Schwabe unfortunately collecting the BMW there, and that allows Oldenburg to settle with that 4th position pretty comfortably, and Schwabe is still running in 5th position there. So yeah, incredibly close between these guys. It shows the kind of margins that aren't given on the racetrack here, and that of course opens the opportunity up for Dyson there, currently running in 6th position. Yeah, so that's unfortunate there for the number 66 BMW, now down into 7th position, so maybe he'll be able to recover some positions from that. But 7th position of course is not bad, as we can see Oldenburg here. Is that I don't believe that's Hagar in front. I think that is a different BMW. Yeah, that's Hagar just rounding off the corner there, so Ferrari is coming up to a different BMW, but again still pretty close. It'd be incredible if Oldenburg managed to get podium here. That'd just be absolutely insane, as we can see the Audi there letting through the Aston Martin. I think that is a lapped Aston Martin, but maybe Bob just knows that Aston Martin's maybe a bit quicker than him, and just doesn't want to be upset by having to defend from him or whatever. But it does open up the gap again, the number 66 car behind the BMW. He's right behind him as that Aston Martin also pulls away once again to let them pass there. So very difficult situation for the number 11 car to be in there. It's very hard to sort of weigh up. You want to make a move, obviously if you're quicker than sort of want to get past in your own race. But you can see the number 66 car actually went around the outside there. So I think that was a great to see there. Schwabe allowing the driver back through. So after that, then it looks like Schwabe and the number 66 car are back again, fighting for 6th place honours here as we approach the final minutes of the race, and 3 minutes to go. Oldenburg is also still trying to look for a few extra attempts on the car in front. It is incredibly close between these guys. I think maybe a few more minutes and Oldenburg would have definitely had this, but I wouldn't lose faith yet. I think he's definitely closing in at a frightening rate so far, as Manicia still leads the way. Again, still not sure what happened to Borchardt, maybe a disconnection. But yeah, Manicia so far just been on a really good run, so we can still see Schwabe then. It's the 66 car, the BMW versus Audi once again. Incredibly close between these guys so far. As they come up into Paddock Hill Bend, then the Audi looks to be changing direction to put the BMW in front of him. Goes to the outside, looks to the outside line, but just cuts back in there. Maybe a move with the Druids. He may have a bit of a better run here from the compromised line of the BMW. But he's going to settle him back behind once again. It's very close though between these two, as I say. They'll be approaching the final seconds of the race very shortly, so a lot more pressure on Schwabe to make the move now, sooner rather than later. As they approach in the downhill section up into the right fast-hander, we'll be seeing how this does turn out. Incredibly close between these two drivers, I must say. The BMW is giving no percentage of the track though. He's keeping the Audi right behind as of now, but he tucks him back behind there. A pretty difficult place to overtake. So then I think this lap and then one more lap to go after that. Manisha, of course, has crossed the line a few seconds in front of these guys so far. So these guys will have 2 more laps, I do believe, to consolidate this 6th position battle. Then they can't write off the Honda behind as well. I think that is the number 98 Honda. He's of course not within striking distance yet, but he's close enough to be a threat for these guys if one of them makes a mistake. So that will be in the back of both of these drivers' minds, I'll imagine. You can see that from the rear view shot of this Audi. You can see the Honda right behind, but if you look forwards then, battle in front of these guys. BMW then defending very well from the Audi so far. Great to see this battle back on. The Audi then building and building and building as they go across the lap. As they round out the lap, and we've got 27 seconds to go in the race. This will be their last lap they're heading on to now. I believe the win is sealed for Artem Manisha, barring a mistake on the final lap. But these two then up into paddock hill. Maybe Schwabe will be able to make a final lunge so far, or will he save himself for the rest of the lap to try and make a better run across the course of the lap. Up they go then into Druid's hairpin. Incredibly close between these two so far, as the BMW seems to get a bit of a better run off the corner. Great acceleration from that BMW. The Audi once again closes in, and the braking. Not sure if that car in front of these two is Dyson. It doesn't look to be. I think that's the BMW. Yeah, that's just one of the BMWs further down the group, and that's Artem Manisha in the pit lane there. Not sure if he's finished the race. I think he has, yeah. So congrats to Manisha there, but we can still see this battle going on. We got Hagara versus Odenberg here. Odenberg, this would be absolutely incredible if he could get a podium here. But Hagara is defending that position very well. Looks like Odenberg is going to move to the inside. The BMW's got a bit of a better run through the braking zone, but will Odenberg have a better run onto the straight? It's incredibly close between these two drivers, and they cross the line, and it's going to be milliseconds between them. But the number 131 car eventually just finished just ahead of Odenberg. Congratulations to both drivers there, and also congratulations to Dyson as we see this final battle between Schwabe and the 66 car. Yeah, incredibly close. You can see that the Honda just behind, catching up to, and incredible from all drivers here at the race so far. So a big congrats to Manisha for the overall win there, with Totev in a brilliant position there in 2nd position in the 777 BMW. We have Hagara, Odenberg, Dyson, Devshik, Schwabe, Rozipal, Debelos and Casera to finish out the top 10. So congrats to all these guys, and if you did enjoy the stream today, please leave us a like. Congrats to all the drivers, and thank you for driving, and thank you for watching, guys. Thank you.